Hello and welcome again to the Writer Review. This is Eric Carruth, writer, and this week we're going to be taking a look back at the 1998 drama titled Stepmom. Now, Stepmom is an emotional drama that runs for 125 minutes long. It is directed by Chris Columbus, and it is produced by Chris Columbus, Michael Barnathon, Mark Radcliffe, Ron Bass, Julia Roberts, and Susan Sarandon. It is based on a story by Gigi Lavangi, and the script was written by Gigi Lavangi, Jesse Nelson, Stephen Rogers, Karen Lee Hopkins, and Ron Bass. The score was done by John Williams. The cinematography was done by Donald M. McAlpine. The editing was done by Neil Travis. And it stars Julia Roberts, Susan Sarandon, Ed Harris, Liam Aiken, and, of course, Jena Malone. Now, Stepmom tells the dramatic and forceful, tear-laden tale in which a New York City advertising photographer named Isabel Kelly, played by Julia Roberts, has recently engaged to a much older and recently divorced attorney named Luke Harrison, played by Ed Harris. Although he is divorced from his ex-wife Jackie, played by Susan Sarandon, he still has legal rights to visit her kids, which includes the rebellious Anna, played by Jena Malone, and a bratty younger son named Ben, played by Liam Aiken. At first glance, we sort of take our sympathies towards Isabel, who's trying so hard to win the approval with the rather difficult and exasperating kids, and that Jackie seems to be quite judgmental over Luke's choice of a new fiancé because she is not from the same class system as her, and she also seems to do everything in her power to get her children to show utter disdain for her, just as much as Jackie is to Isabel. But as the film progresses, we find ourselves taking pity over Jackie, who, in spite of her obnoxious character and her overbearing poisonous tongue, we discover that she has terminal cancer. Meanwhile, the kids seem to adapt to similar behavior patterns, and Luke just goes on what needs to be done without really saying much. He's a busybody who doesn't seem to really know completely what's happening. He doesn't seem to be quite up to date over the rivalry and the friction between Isabel and Jackie, and the disdain the kids have towards this person who will soon to be their permanent stepmother. In spite of the ensemble of talented performers, Stepmom was cursed by a mundane script and a forceful attempt to get the audience in tears. The box office success was quite mediocre at best, and Susan Sarandon, however, was still nominated for a Golden Globe for her performance. I was quite surprised that the Academy Awards neglected this film, since their mindset seemed to be based on films that provide emotional backdrops from the characters. To me, in my estimation, the demographics of people who will look up to this movie are likely the upper-class women in the 30 to 40-year-old range group. Perhaps the Anna Harrison character might attract the adolescent girl demographics, especially those who have a divorced or deceased parent and are struggling with adapting to their new parent or soon-to-be new parent. The middle-aged parents who are sadly diagnosed with a terminal illness might also find the story somewhat intriguing, and probably might have a better understanding of the physical and the emotional stages that they're going through, let alone the hardships of those surrounding them. In my opinion, now look, I don't want to sound like an insensitive jerk, but I really, to be honest with you, did not feel at ease watching this movie. Call me biased, but it's just not the kind of movie for me. I don't like to watch. I usually, when I watch a movie, I like to be entertained. I like to be enlightened. Yes, I knew what I was coming in for when I was going to see this movie. Yes, I knew that it was going to be a tearjerker, but I didn't think it was going to go a little over the top in its terms of being an emotional tearjerker. Now, don't get me wrong, I admired the acting and the cinematography, and they were truly the best things going for this movie. Susan Sarandon really does play her heart out. Julia Roberts, she's as wonderful as always. Ed Harris, well, he was badly underused in this movie and really didn't have much to do. The children in this movie, I just didn't really like them. They didn't really ring a bell too much to me. And they came across as being bratty, spoiled kids. And the way how they mistreated Isabel, who was trying so hard to win their approval, just made things feel very, very uncomfortable. And even some of the things that Jackie had said towards poor Isabel, it just really, really, really did not sit very well with me either on that. I mean, I expect, kids being, insultive and immature, but adults, they should kind of learn better. Alright. I really thought director Chris Columbus did a little too much manipulative tactics to force us into one tear fest after another. The representing, I should say, of the tear factor shed very little impact on me. Plus, there were many scenes that made me feel very, very uncomfortable. If you thought Stepmom was a feel-good movie, well, what were you thinking? Maybe the same could be said about me. Maybe I thought maybe we could get by with a little bit of subtle humor, but the attempts at trying to be humorous turn out to be quite awkward. And to watch a character suffer in spite of how vain and venomous this character is, I just don't really feel comfortable watching those kind of movies. I don't like to see a character die, or dying. Yes, I know the stages is tricky, the trials and tribulation of battling cancer, the chemo, the tests. It all seems too overwhelming, and it was just very, very painful to watch. The unlikable characters also came across as being quite painful to watch too. And here are just some of the scenes that I thought made me feel very, very uncomfortable. Like when Isabel finally does open up to Anna, who eventually has a nasty breakup with her discordious boyfriend named Brad Kovitsky, played by Jason Maves. She encourages Anna to inflict verbal abuse towards him by calling him names like a limp dick, while Ben can be seen giggling at every word that's said, and yet he's like half a mile away from the house. Gee, I thought adults discouraged kids to call others names, not encourage them. And sure, Brad may have deserved being called a limp dick after he called Anna Frosty the Snow Bitch, but adults should know better that it's not appropriate behavior. I was also taken aback by the rich, posh, multi-million-dollar estate that Jackie was residing in, and cliched, of course, was the fact that their rich house came with a horse and a horse trail. it made me ponder it. Just how did a nice, charming New York City fashion reporter like Isabel Kelly would ever get romantically involved with a much older, mundane guy like Luke, and having to put up with two quite incorrigible children who clearly hate her just for the sake of existence. I also couldn't believe my eyes during the scenes at the school play where all the kids were dressed in perfect Hollywood-style costumes, and each and every one of their voices sound purely angelic. Didn't they have at least one or two kids who felt awkward or uncomfortable? Kind of gives me a bit of those toddlers and tiaras type scenario. I mean, it would have been believable if we would have saw kids, maybe doing something like throw up on stage or pee their pants or something like that. What's also strange was the fact that Anna was 6 years older than Ben. How the hell are they in the same play? Shouldn't they be in different schools? Okay, so maybe the scriptwriter may know a thing or two of the classic duo song Ain't No Mountain High Enough by the late Marvin Gaye and the late Tammy Terrell. But it makes me wonder, how did Anna and Ben seem to know this song quite flawlessly? I mean, I'm assumed to believe that they were born in 1986 and 1991 respectively, several years before the song was ever released. It came out in 1967. Shouldn't they be knowing the tunes of 90s hits? What's the deal with them knowing the lyrics to 60s songs? The other thing that bugs me was that the connection they had with this song serves as the unity between them. It also sickens me that they played this song on 3 occasions. I mean, Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell had other songs that weren't about going through great lengths to unite with one another. On the plus side, and this is not a complete negative rant, I'm really impressed with the resiliency towards Isabel. I mean, surviving through all the ordeals between this very hateful family truly deserves a standing ovation. She standing up to the materialistic Jackie and her obnoxious stepdaughter and annoying stepson without the desires to strangle either one truly deserves my praises. She just kept her composure the whole time through and did nothing to let her stand in her way. Overall, this is not a horrible film, though I can't really recommend it due to the hateful characters, the uncomfortable atmosphere, and the details here that totally make me cringe. We should feel sorry about someone dying, sure, but we can't embody pity because the venom that comes out of the victim's mouth. I would truly steer clear of this one. If I was to give this movie a score out of 10, I would have to give it a 5. I'm sorry. If I sounded insensitive, I apologize. I just didn't feel comfortable with this movie at all. It didn't sit very well with me. There's a lot of things that didn't make me feel very comfortable. And I just really did not. It just didn't feel good. It wasn't a feel-good movie at all. And don't really like those kind of movies, but I will sit through them. I will watch them because because I select no favorites. I knew what I was coming in for, but I just didn't think it was going to be overly sentimental. But if you guys want to go see the movie, so be it. I'm not going to be the one to stop you. But I just don't think I'll ever see this movie ever again. So I guess this ends my rider review. Thank you all in for listening. You can subscribe to my channel. You can write back to me if you like. Remember, be kind, be courteous, and I will be back again with another review. So until next time, this is Eric Red Rider saying, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you around. Goodbye.